was explaining about glories of prayers by Queen Kunti. So, Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Maharaj, are we continuing with the prayers by Queen Kunti today? Maharaj, shall I share the same words in a continuation?
No, today is Guru Purnima, and I'll be speaking exclusively on that today. Today is a very important day to acknowledge many different personalities, so we'll speak about that. So I'll just speak. There's no verses that we can put up that I can think of. Umagyan, how many do we have online? We have 9, including you and me. That's about 7. Okay, I'll do the Mangala Charana. Hopefully devotees will come on. Om Agyan Timidandasya Gyana Jana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruvena Maha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavani Pastyatya Satarine Vandeham Siguro Siyutapade Kamalam Sigurum Vaishnavamscha Sirupam Sadhujatam Sahagana Praganatam Vitam Tam Sujivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopishka Kanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tarubhischa Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pastyatya Satarine Ma Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daite Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnanam Daine Prabhave Namaha Madhur Ojvala Premadhya Sirupanuga Bhaktida Sigoda Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostate Namaste Gaurvani Sri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Vidurapa Sitanta Tvanta Harine Namo Goda Kishoraya Saksad Vairagya Murtaye Vipalamba Asambode Padambo Jayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Golda Shakti Sarupaya Rupanuga Parayate Gauravani Vibhuva Slam Nirdesesa Sajanatriya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Sri Jagannataya Te Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we honor the position of the spiritual masters all around the world. Guru Purnima is a festival that's not only celebrated by Vaishnavas, but many groups coming from India, along with the Jains, the Buddhists, and other spiritual groups also honor this particular day. It's also indicated that on this day we especially honor Srila Vyasadeva because he is the position where all the gurus have their power from. In other words, he is the original guru that has manifested himself within this world, who has translated the Vedic knowledge into literary form. In other words, he's taking the Vedas, which are called Shruti. Shruti means to be heard. The Vedic knowledge is to be heard. Therefore, it's called Shruti. And so that was the way of transmission. One of the sections of the Vedas is called the Upanishads, the Upanishad. The word Upanishad means to sit down near. And when we refer to who, sit down near the spiritual master and hear. So that is the traditional form of transmission of transcendental knowledge. But due to the advent of Kali Yuga, Manda Sumanda Matayo Manya Bhagya Upadutaha, people's minds are not so able to absorb, and people forget very easy. In this age, there are 4 outstanding disqualifications. Mercifulness is lost, memory is lost, longevity of life is severely reduced, bodily strength is also severely reduced in this age. So one of them is memory. People cannot remember. Now we even have a disease that was never heard of before called Alzheimer's, where people can't even remember what they did 1 minute ago, or they can't even remember who they are. So memory is so much debilitated in this age. And so the sages and Namisharanya could see that prior to the advent of Kali Yuga. And so Vyasadeva was commissioned by his spiritual master, Narada Muni, to take the Vedic knowledge and write it down. So now we have books of the Vedas. Before it was only transmitted through oral sound vibration. So we honor Vyasadeva, just like we always refer to the seat that the spiritual master sits on as the Vyasa-san, Vyasa Asan, or the seat of Vyas. So those who sit and represent the Parampara are actually ultimately representing Vyasadeva, who is the author of Vedic knowledge, in particular Srimad Bhagavatam. And so we honor Vyasadeva as the original spiritual teacher, coming in the cyclic succession from Brahma to Narada, Narada to Vyas, and then Vyas down, all the way down to Srila Prabhupada and then his disciples, who are in the same position to deliver transcendental knowledge. But we have to understand that transcendental knowledge is deductive knowledge. It is not inductive knowledge. Inductive knowledge is faulty, limited. Inductive knowledge may be used in a practical way, but for transcendental knowledge, inductive knowledge is simply illusionary. Deductive knowledge means that Krishna is the original guru. Krishna is the original guru, and he gives that knowledge into the hearts of Brahma, Teni Brahma Ida Adikavaye. So Krishna spoke within the heart of Brahma, and then Brahma became fully self-realized after hearing from Krishna within the heart. Prior to that, there was tapa, austerity, meditation. In other words, before one can qualify themselves to understand transcendental knowledge or even hear transcendental knowledge, one has to perform austerity. What is that austerity? One has to follow very strictly the principles that are given by the acharyas in the execution of one's devotional service. By strictly following that, one becomes qualified to hear and to understand transcendental knowledge. One can hear, but they cannot fully understand unless they actually perform austerity. Austerity leads to bhakti. So Lord Brahma did that, and he became self-realized. Then he imparted that knowledge to his sons, especially to Narada. Narada gave that same knowledge to Vyasa, and also was commissioned to write that knowledge down due to the effects of the age of Kali. And therefore we have the Vedic knowledge. And then anyone who comes in disciplic succession from Lord Brahma, there are four sampradayas. They're the Brahma, Gaudiya, Madhva Sampradaya, which we are in. I'm sorry, Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. Madhvacharya is also in our Sampradaya. And then, of course, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we have the Sri Sampradaya, Ramanujacharya. We have the Rudra Sampradaya, Vishnu Swami. And then we have the Nimbarka Swami Sampradaya with, Nimbarka, or the Chaturshushana, the four Kumara Sampradaya. So outside of these Sampradaya, there's no real solid transcendental knowledge. Therefore, one has to take knowledge within one of these four Sampradayas. So we are Brahma, Madhvacharya's teachings are also included because Madhvacharya actually, he met Vyasadeva. He actually went to the Himalayas to see Vyasadeva, and he was able to meet Vyasadeva in Adribhadra, Adibhadri. Adibhadri is the highest place in the material world in the Himalayas, where Vyasadeva has his cave there, and he stays there. He's still there doing his writing transcendental knowledge. And Madhva, and then Lord Chaitanya later on appeared to Madhva and said, I will appear in your Sampradaya. So this is our connection with Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. And then all the way down to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder Acharya of the Hare Krishna movement, who was empowered by the Sampradaya Acharyas to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. So Srila Prabhupada is not an Acharya. Just recently I heard a lecture. Prabhupada was talking to his disciples, and one of Prabhupada's disciples was talking about a particular astrologer who was a very well-known and very renowned astrologer. He was living in Vrindavan. And his devotee had heard from this astrologer that he indicated that Srila Prabhupada was the most powerful person on the entire planet. And spiritually. And when Prabhupada heard that, of course, his natural humility appeared, and he simply said, yes, that is correct, but only because I am representing the most powerful person, Krishna. Because I'm representing Krishna perfectly, or to the best of my ability, then therefore I am powerful. So there's where the power comes. The power does not come from us. There's only one source of power. Krishna is the only source of power, but one who connects with Krishna through the acharyas also becomes powerful. That's why Srila Prabhupada would say, I would like each and every one of my disciples to become spiritual masters, because the opportunity is there, the knowledge is there. One has to just qualify themselves to receive that knowledge by adhering strictly to the instructions of the spiritual master and trying to understand that and applying it in their day-to-day execution of devotional service. Then one becomes powerful. Power is not an individual thing. Power is coming from the source of power. So the guru is powerful only because of his connection with Krishna, because of his connection with his spiritual master. As soon as we disobey the instructions of the spiritual master, we cut ourselves off from the mercy of the spiritual master, and we become, what we say, devoid of spiritual power. So therefore, everything is a matter of connection. It's all a matter of connection. So we honor on this particular day all gurus around the world, and at the same time we honor Vyasadeva, especially on this particular day, because he's given us that Vedic knowledge in writing. And that Vedic knowledge in writing is the only way we can actually fully understand this knowledge. Because of course, Shruti is still there, but as we said, memory in this loss is sorely hampered by the effects of this age. This age is so bad, it's just full of negative energy, it's full of sinful activity. The whole atmosphere is so polluted by sense gratification, by violence, by sinful activity, that even spiritually, persons who are serious in the execution of their spiritual life may also be affected by the quality of this age. Therefore, the sages in Namisarani foresaw that, and therefore they knew that only by writing down this knowledge would people be able to access it in a more continuous and, we might say, in a more a long-term way. So this is a little bit about Guru. We can speak so much about the importance of a spiritual master. The spiritual master is a manifestation of the mercy of Krishna. He comes in two forms of himself. One is known as Shiksha, one is known as Diksha. Shiksha sometimes becomes Diksha, but not always. Diksha means one who connects one to the parampara, and Shiksha means one who gives instruction. Generally, our Shiksha Guru becomes our Diksha Guru. That is usually the procedure that follows, but not always. There are persons who have had Shiksha Guru as their prominent Guru and Diksha Guru as simply a connection. And that, for example, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Hari Bilal was Bhakti Vinod Thakur's Diksha Guru. Well, we don't hear much about Hari Bilal. We hear mostly about Jagannath Das Goswami, Jagannath Babaji Goswami, who was very much instrumental in teaching Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So you see the disciplic succession in our reign is also a Shiksha line. Okay, I'd like to speak a little bit also about today is also the disappearance day of Srila Sanatana Goswami. Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghu Yugo Sri Jiva Gopala Go. And that the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, the acharyas who followed Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who directly received knowledge from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, and also Raghunath Das Goswami. These three out of the six were great literary proponents in presenting transcendental knowledge. We must include Jiva Goswami, although he didn't hear directly from Lord Chaitanya. Jiva Goswami was such a profound scholar on transcendental knowledge that he wrote 400,000 verses on transcendental knowledge. So Sanatana Goswami is very powerful, very fundamental in our line. I'll read a little bit about Sanatana Goswami. I'll read one verse. This verse is from the Gora Gonadeshti Pika by Srila Kavi Kanapur. Vairagyayu Bhakti Rasam Prayatnayar Apaya Yanmam Anabhiksum Adam Kapam Buddhirya Paradukka Duki Sanatastam Prabhum Asrayami. Raghunath Das Goswami has glorified Sanatana Goswami as follows in his Vilaja Kusumanjali. So this is actually from Vilaja Kusumanjali by Raghunath Das Goswami. I was unwilling to drink the nectar of devotional service, possessed of renunciation, but Sanatana Goswami, out of his causeless mercy, made me drink it, even though I was unable to do so. Therefore, he is an ocean of mercy. He is very compassionate to the fallen souls like me, and thus it is my duty to offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet, and take shelter of him. Beautiful verse, glorifying Sanatana Goswami by Raghunath Das Goswami. And this one is from the Gaura Gopdesh Deepika by Kavi Kanapur. Sarupa Manjari Prasiha Buddha Sidratna Manjari Sojate Namabedena Lavanga Manjari Budai. Rupa Manjari's closest friend, who is known by the name Rati Manjari and also Lavanga Manjari, appeared in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Sri Sanatana Goswami, who was considered to be a personal extension of the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatana Goswami's literary contribution to the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is paralleled only by Rupa and Raghunath Das Goswami. The most important of the scriptures that Sanatana compiled are the Hari Bhakti Vilas, and he also did a tika on Hari Bhakti Vilas. Tika means a commentary, so he also did a commentary on his own work called Hari Bhakti Vilas, which was commissioned by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu directly. And Hari Bhakti Vilas gives many principles for the execution of devotional service, particularly for those in the Grihastha ashram. Hari Bhakti Vilas is available in volumes. You can purchase that. It comes in many volumes, so it's interesting for Grihasthas. It will help one to understand the finer aspects of bhakti and some of the basic principles that are needed in order for bhakti to become successful. These are supplementary principles. The Brihad Bhagavatamrita is another one of his works, which is quite glorious, which is more or less the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam. And he also did a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam called Dasama Tipani, which is also known as Brihad Vaishnava Toshini and Dasama Charita. So then there's a lot of description about the history of his birth and where he appeared. He appeared in 1488. And Rupa Goswami appeared in 1493. They were brothers. And then there was a third called Anupama, also known as Vallabha. These three brothers actually surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vallabha, Anupama, we don't hear much about. He died quite early in the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but his son was Jiva Goswami, which were the nephews of Sanatana and Rupa Goswami. There was a lot of harassment at the time by the Mughals, who had invaded India and had taken over powerful positions within the government and actually became the government themselves. There's a story which illustrates the compassion of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. And that story is that the Mulak, the king at the time, I forgot his Chankazi, I think his name was Chankazi, was harassing the Brahmin community. And he was persecuting the Brahmin community. And Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami were members of that same community. So they volunteered their services to the Mulak if he would stop harassing the Brahmin community. Of course, the Mulak understood that Sanatana and Rupa Goswami were quite expert in knowledge and in various language. They also knew Urdu. And so he agreed to stop harassing the Brahmin community if Sanatana Rupa Goswami would work for him in the government. And so Rupa Goswami became his finance minister, and Sanatana Goswami became his chief minister. And they took on different names, Sarak Mulak and Dabir Kash. They took on Islamic titles and they worked for the government. They did that in order to protect the Brahmin community. And so the story goes on where at one point Sanatana Goswami decided to stop his service to the Muslim government, and Rupa Goswami simultaneously also did. So Rupa Goswami retired from finance minister, and he was quite wealthy. He had accumulated 2 boatloads full of gold coins. Same time, Sanatana Goswami just left his post, and he was in Varanasi, Benares at the time. And he was staying there, and he was giving lectures on Srimad Bhagavatam. When the Chankazi, the head of the government, was missing Sanatana Goswami, he needed him because Chankazi wanted to go out and conquer more territories in India. And he needed Sanatana to rule the government because he knew Sanatana was qualified. But Sanatana had given notice that he was sick and he's leaving his post for a temporary period of time. So this went on for quite long. And then the Chankazi, he went to the house of where Sanatana Goswami was staying. And he came in and he saw Sanatana Goswami was there. And he said, "My dear Sanatana," well, he called him by his Sarak Mulak was his name, called him by that name. "I need you to rule the government. I have plans. Your brother," he was referring to himself, "your brother wants to go out and conquer other territories. So please take care of the government." And Sanatana Goswami said, "My dear king of the of the community, I no longer want to occupy that post." Well, the Qazi was very angry, and he threatened him. if you don't come back, I'll imprison you in jail. And Sanatan said, you, since you are the ruler, you can do whatever you feel is right. I'm not coming back. So he locked Sanatan Goswami in jail. Sanatan Goswami was being watched by some Islamic or servant who was taking care of him. And he was in chains. He was imprisoned inside the jail in chains. A very harsh type of punishment. And then Sanatan Goswami somehow was able to send a message to Rupa Goswami saying, please send me some gold coins because I want to get free from this jail here. So Rupa Goswami had arranged for 10,000 gold coins to be sent to Sanatan Goswami while he was in jail. And somehow he was able to receive the 10,000 gold coins even though he was in jail. That part of the story is not mentioned so much in detail, but the money was sent. Now his jailer, this very simple Islamic person, Sanatan was thinking, well, I have to get out. So he called his jailer. He said, you are a very intelligent man. And I also, I also have some business to do to worship the Lord. And you are also a great worshiper of the Lord. So please set me free. I want to worship the Lord. And I will offer you 5,000 gold coins. And now this Islamic jailer, he said, oh, if I do that, then I will be punished. He said, no, you can just take me, you can say you took me down to the river and you to take my bath there, and then I just jumped into the river with all the chains on and I was gone. At first, this jailer didn't like that so much, but then Sanatan Goswami said, I will give you 10,000 gold coins. And so the jailer immediately took the bribe, but Sanatan kept 8 gold coins aside. And he gave him everything short of 10,000 gold coins. And then he was set free. Now he wanted to reach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Mahaprabhu was also in East Bengal at that time, and it was a long journey. So the scriptures narrate that he had to travel all alone. And then he met one servant, which was called Ishan. Ishan met, and so they were traveling together. They were going through jungles. While he was going through jungles, they didn't have anything to eat and also drink. So one time he drank some bad water. And because of that, he came down with this very severe sores all over his body, which were infected. And then, so he continued on, even though he had this infection all over his body from these sores after drinking this bad water. And finally, he came to the place where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was. And at that time, he was quite ragged looking. His hair had grown. He had grown a beard. He was dressed in raggy clothes. So he came to the door where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was, and he just sat there. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's assistant went to the door because he felt somebody's at the door. No, actually, I'm sorry. Lord Chaitanya was sitting inside, and Lord Chaitanya said to his servant, there's a great personality at the door, so I think you should go see and let him in. So the servant went, and he saw this beggar sitting at the door. It was actually Sanatan. And he came back and said, there's no great personality out there. There's just one Daravesh. Daravesh means, Prabhupada translate Daravesh as hippie. Interesting translation. Because Sanatan had grown long hair and a long beard, so Prabhupada uses the word Daravesh. He was quite unkept. So when the servant came back and said, there's only one Daravesh at the door, he said, no, that's actually Sanatan Goswami, so let him in. So when he came in, he fell at the feet of Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya embraced him. When he embraced him, all the sores all over his body were completely healed, but the sores had stuck. Some of the they were oozing sores, and the sticky liquid from the sores started sticking to the body of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sanatana Goswami was feeling so wretched and so unhappy because of that. Well, then Sanatana Goswami, when Lord Chaitanya was, when Sanatana was traveling, when he met Ishan, Ishan had arranged to give him a very costly blanket. So although his clothes were so ragged, still he had this one very nice blanket. And Lord Chaitanya kept looking at his blanket. And then Sanatana Goswami could understand that actually Lord Chaitanya doesn't like my blanket. And so he understood that he should do something. And then that was indicated. So he left and he went looking to trade his blanket for someone else's blanket who was less opulent. So he saw this one beggar sitting there with a very torn cloth, which was like a blanket that he was wearing. And he said, my dear sir, I have this very nice blanket. Can I trade it for your cloth? The beggar said, you are insulting me. Why would you want to trade your costly blanket for my ripped cloth? No, Sanatana Goswami, no, my spiritual master, he is not happy with me having this very nice opulence. And the point was that Lord Chaitanya was teaching that if we have any attachments in this material world, whatever it may be, whether it's for nice food or nice clothes, nice house, any of these attachments, they block our ability to reach pure devotional service. So if we can have these things, but if we are attached to them, that is the actual stumbling block. Somehow or other, to have nice things is not against devotional service, but to be attached to them. In other words, if they're taken away, it doesn't affect you. And something else comes, it doesn't affect you. In other words, happiness and distress, gain and loss are all the same for a devotee. They live according to Krishna's arrangement. They may be living in a mansion, or they may live underneath a tree. Whatever their particular designation given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are happy. If they receive more, they can use it in Krishna consciousness. If they lose something, they continue on in their devotional service without lamenting the loss of anything. So Lord Chaitanya was teaching that through Sanatana Goswami. And then when he came back with this blanket, which was quite decrepit, full of holes, Lord Chaitanya said, your last attachment is now gone. And then Lord Chaitanya arranged for him to get a haircut and a bath because he said, and Prabhupada uses this, that when we introduce new people to our Krishna conscious movement, the first thing we do is that we give them a clean shave. What does that indicate, clean shave? Of course, this is just for the men, of course. And what it means that is that now I'm surrendering to the spiritual master. We don't ask people who are not surrendered to shave up. Only those who have actually come forward for initiation or ready to shave for initiation should accept this shaving. Shaving leads to saving, and saving leads to service, and service leads to Krishna. So this surrender process has many things included in, and shaving up is also part of the process of surrender. Okay, and there are many other stories about the life of Sanatana Goswami. I left out some of the events of his travel when he was, after he left the jail, and finally when he reached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There's a lot of other very sweet and very instructive episodes in his travels that helped for us to understand what is the quality of a pure devotee of the Lord. Of course, I'll tell a little antidote story. It's not an antidote, it's actually a true story. There was one man, he was quite greedy. He had worshipped Lord Shiva to get material opulence. His worship was successful. Lord Shiva appeared to him and asked him, "What do you want?" He said, "I want to become wealthy, unlimitedly wealthy." Lord Shiva said, "Well, if you go to there's one hill nearby where Sanatana Goswami is living, and he possesses a touchstone. Now, touchstone is actually a real thing. You don't see it in this world anymore. But there used to be a stone that you could touch it to anything metal, and that metal would become gold. So he said, you go to Sanatan, you ask him for his touchstone. He is very magnanimous. He will give it to you. So the man got all excited, went to the hill where Sanatana Goswami was staying, fell at the feet of Sanatana Goswami, said so many words in glorification. Sanatana Goswami could understand that this man came to gain something. So he said, "Why have you come?" "Well, I was sent by Lord Shiva. I heard you have a touchstone. I want that touchstone." "Well, okay. Well, you just go down the road and you'll see a little garbage pile on the side of the road. And in that garbage pile, you'll find the touchstone." Oh, so he got all excited. He left Sanatan, went through the garbage pile, found the touchstone. He became so excited, started touching things and things were transforming into gold. But after some time, the man started to think, Sanatana Goswami is a very intelligent person. Why would he keep such a valuable thing like a touchstone in the garbage? I guess he has something more valuable than this touchstone, so I'm going to get that. So he came back and he again worshipped and offered obeisances to Sanatana Goswami. He said, "My dear Sanatana, I can understand you are a very intelligent person. I know that you have something even more valuable than this touchstone. Please give it." Sanatana Goswami said, "Yes, that is true. But before I will give it to you, you have to do one thing." "What is that?" "Throw away your touchstone." "Throw away my touchstone?" "Yes, if you want something more valuable, that is the only way you can receive it." Okay. Reluctantly, but at the same time with faith in Sanatana Goswami, he threw away his touchstone. Now he was eager to receive it, and Sanatana Goswami gave him something much more valuable than anything in this material world. He said, now repeat after me. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He initiated him into chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So this is also indicative that, if we have material attachments and we're still trying to chant the holy names of the Lord, it'll be very difficult to make progress in the process of chanting. But if we continue to chant, and at the same time try to rid ourselves from our material attachments, and gradually the chanting will only increase in quality and in quantity, and one will feel happy and know that nothing in this material world can compare to Krishna, who has come in the form of his holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, these are a few of the wonderful pastimes of this great personality, Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami was an epitome of humility. He was very humble. And Lord Chaitanya, actually, Vrindavan Das Thakur says, there's 4 persons you should never try to imitate. And one of them is Sanatana Goswami for his humility. He was humility personified. Okay, so we'll stop there and see if there's any comments or questions. Guru Purnima, Sanatana Goswami.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for explaining about Guru Purnima and explaining about glories of Srila Sanatana Goswami. Thank you so much. So I request devotees, if you have any questions or reflection, please go ahead with it. You can either raise hand or put it in the chat. Also, please turn on your videos if possible. Thank you, all those who are on camera. Please go ahead with your questions, reflections. Namrata Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to your lotus feet, Maharaj. On the auspicious day of Guru Purnima, please accept my humble obeisances. Guru Maharaj, I wanted to ask, you mentioned about the 4 sampradayas. So the devotees who are elevated to Ram Bhakti, are they even considered in this 4 sampradayas?
Yeah. Madhvacharyas, they worship, of course, they worship Narayan. And Ram is an expansion of Narayan. He is the original form of Narayan as manifested in the spiritual world. And so Narayan is the manifestation of the different incarnations. Ram is one of them. The Shringadeva is one. The Vishnu incarnations. So the other sampradayas, many of them, Sri Sampradaya also worships Lord Ramachandra. One of their followers, called Kambi. Kambi was actually from the Sri Sampradaya, and he also wrote a version of the Ramayana, which is accepted. So yeah, Sri Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya, they all worship Ram. Even in our Sampradaya, we worship Ram.
Okay. So Ramayana is it is an epic. So somehow I'm a little confused. Like how, the way we study Srimad Bhagavatam, uh, Ramayan, Valmiki's Ramayan is not studied. Why is it like that?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Say it again.
The way we study Srimad Bhagavatam, so Valmiki's Ramayan, we are not studying in that way. How I mean, we put a lot of stress on Srimad Bhagavatam. So
but if you go to the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there are two full chapters in narration of Ram's pastimes. It's in the 9th canto. There's also references throughout Srimad Bhagavatam of the appearance of Ram in other cantos. But we don't, I mean, there's devotees in our movement who have done the Ramayana, and there's one devotee who did it in verse form. So Vidvan Gauranga from Mayapur, he's done the cantos of the Ramayana or the kandas in Ramayana in verse form, and I have at least, there's about 7 different books of the Ramayana. We have Subha Vilas, who's done it in story form. We have Krishna Dharma, who's done a narration of that. Sri Galim did it. And there are so many devotees in our movement who have taken the Ramayana and presented it accordingly. But Vidvan Gauranga did it in verses, with the actual verses from the Valmiki Ramayana. So, but Srila Prabhupada concentrated mostly on Krishna Lila because of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in the mood of Radharani Krishna Lila. So therefore, that's the emphasis. But we give a lot of attention to Ram. In many of our temples, the altars are Sita Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman. In London, in Potomac, in Bombay, you have it right there in Bombay where you are. Sita Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman is there on the altar. In Juhu Temple. And Prabhupada established that. So we give a lot of attention and emphasis, and we have big festivals during the time of Lord Ram's appearance. There's festivals, narrations. So yeah, it's all there. And if you really want to get into the verse form, you get that copy of Vidvan, his name is Vidvan Gauranga from Mayapur. He's done a whole series of books, volumes, like the Srimad Bhagavatam on the Ramayana. Prabhupada left it up to his disciples to do that work. Prabhupada concentrated mostly on Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and others. But Prabhupada had a long list of books that he wanted to do that he never got to.
thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Namrata.
Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead.
Guru Maharaj, excuse me, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. And like Namrata, I want to offer my obeisances to you, especially again on the occasion of Guru Purnima, Thank you, Guru Maharaj. My question is exactly about this touchstone and the material attachments that hold us back. Now, in the case of this man, he went to Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami told him specifically, you throw away that stone and then I'll give you something more valuable. Now, in our case, unconditionally, we have been given the Maha Mantra and we still have all our material attachments as baggage, holding us down and keeping us anchored to this material world and not allowing us to lift one foot forward. So how we can
we're not really chanting the Maha Mantra. We're just skimming the surface of something that is very powerful.
Hmm.
The Maha Mantra is Krishna himself. It's not different than Krishna himself. So we get something from chanting, but it's insignificant. It's not even measurable what we get because of our attachments to this material world. So don't be attached.
So better to really focus on chanting good quality rounds and doing our best to wake up early, focus on hearing the name. And that is our best bet against all these material attachments. Is that correct?
That's a big part of it. And it's important. What you say is necessary, but you have to recognize what is your material attachments and stop trying to feed them. That has to be there. You can see them. Krishna shows you your material attachments. Some of the ones you know, others you can't see. Krishna helps you see them. You have to start giving them up consciously.
So how we can see those attachments? I mean, most of them we are unconscious, unaware of. We are on autopilot most of the time. So how we can become even aware of all these things?
Get off autopilot. Autopilot is good if it takes you where you're supposed to go, but if it's taking you the other direction, then you better put on the brakes and change direction. Spontaneous, material attachments. Raganuga Maya, right?
Oh my gosh, Krishna Chaitanya. Yes, Guru Maharaj. Instead of Raganuga Bhakti, it's all Raganuga Maya all the time. So is it important to bear your heart to the spirit? I mean, of course it is, but we probably hold back and hide from the spiritual master all these things, isn't it?
You can't hide anything. Who are you going to hide from?
Right.
You're just
He sees
cheating.
everything.
You just cheat yourself. That's all.
Yeah, I don't want to cheat myself, Guru Maharaj, but I end up cheating myself because I think I'm not following the process correctly.
And analyze. All right. So the essence of the process is to chant every day 16 rounds without fail, and with as much attention and devotion as we can acquiesce. To associate with and serve Vaishnavas. That's these two are essential. To every day hear or read Srimad Bhagavatam. And practically speaking, use our time to offer some seva in a practical way to the mission of Lord Chaitanya. To take only Krishna Prasadam, to observe the festivals that we have, such as Janmashtami, or Purnima, Ram Navami, to take part in these festivals. To practice developing the qualities that are conducive to devotional service, which are the qualities of the modes of goodness. to depend on Krishna's mercy in every aspect of our life.
Hmm.
We
So
find
that's
ourselves in difficult situations. We're trying to solve the situation ourselves. Just like yesterday, I'll give you an example. I'm coming into Chicago. I came in from Ljubljana yesterday. So when we got to the immigration, there was a long line of about, I don't know, 1,000 people just going in line. It was really crowded. So I'm in the line and I'm thinking, I'm tired. I just thought, I'll just chant, and I don't have anything to do with this situation. What's happening around me has nothing to do with me. I'm just going to connect with Krishna. And if I connect with Krishna, I can be free from what's going on around me and just accept it as Krishna's mercy. That's all. So I just started to, and then at one point, the lines were going crisscross. So in other words, we're filing in and we're going into different roped off lines. So the people ahead of us are going in the opposite direction and we're going in the opposite direction. So at one point, one man, he looks at me and he says, "Come, get in front of me." So I said, "Fine." So I got in front of him. I thanked him. And I thought, oh, this is Krishna's mercy. And then he said to me, he said, "You're an old man. You shouldn't be standing in this line. You should go right up to the front." I said, "Well, people are not going to like that." He said, "No, go ahead. Just go ahead and do it." So at first I was reluctant, and his wife was also there. She said, "Yeah, it's not good. People might complain." So then I thought about it for a little while, and then I just decided, I just went right through the lines, went all the way up to the front, got right in the line, right next to the immigration officer. Nobody said a word to me. I just walked up and I was gone. I went through. I saved about an hour standing in line. So that was Krishna. That's Krishna. All I had to do was connect with Krishna, and Krishna just changed the whole situation around for me. So that man became the instrument for Krishna's mercy. That's all.
So surrendering and really connecting to Krishna and reminding yourself that there's nothing, I don't have anything to do with this situation. I'm just going to connect with you, Krishna, surrender to you, whatever you want. That's the key in every situation that we encounter. Is that?
Yeah, but we have to practice humility. Even though we're not humble, we should practice humility, because that opens up the mercy even 100%. Humility attracts the attention of the Lord. Humility allows one to overcome the most difficult situations. We were coming out of Sukavaha, you're here, you're listening. We were coming out of London just the other day. So we went into the airport and I thought, all right, I got a flight at 4:30. So I left at 1 o'clock. We got to the airport. I checked in really easy. Then I went to go to the gate, and they had the normal side blocked off. And then people said, you have to join the queue. So when I looked at the queue, I flipped out. There was more than 1,000 people in the queue, and the queue wasn't moving. Oh, it wasn't moving. So when I checked in, I happened to pass by one person who was a devotee who was working for British Airlines. And she came out and saw me and said, "Oh, Maharaj." She offered obeisances. It was really nice. I was with Diptesh and his son. So she was friends with Diptesh's wife. And then We talked a few minutes and then I left. And when I immediately got in the line, she came running over there. She said, "You don't have to stand in line. Come on."
Oh.
She pushed me through all of the checkpoints. I passed by the whole line. It was like unbelievable.
Wow.
I saved about 2 hours worth of time standing in line. The lines were not moving. It was so confusing at the airport. If you're going to fly nowadays, make sure you give yourself enough time, especially in London.
I know the Heathrow Airport is the worst one. Everybody's complaining about it.
Oh, the complaints are valid.
What can you do if you want to go on holidays? It's just don't go in the holiday time.
Was out by Krishna's mercy coming through this very nice devotee. She used her position. I went right to the front.
Amazing, Guru Maharaj.
I didn't do anything. I just said Hare Krishna. So I'm just using these as an example, not to put myself in any position.
No, that is true, Guru Maharaj. But you are such a pure soul, Guru Maharaj. Everybody will help you, definitely.
No, this happens to many devotees. If you just somehow or other depend on Krishna. We have to practice depending on Krishna.
Actually, Guru Maharaj, when you were talking about this, my daughter had a flight to America. She had similar experience as well. She didn't know anybody there, but somehow the person on the counter said, "Oh, you're traveling alone? Okay, I'll put you in the business class." She just upgraded her. She went through so easily, no problems. And I thought, wow,
Yeah.
that's something unusual. She said, "Mom, I didn't know how. I didn't even say nothing. She just did it for her."
Yeah, I could name about 6 different things that happened to me just recently in travel. Just by Krishna's mercies, a difficult situation turned around something easy. Just like I came into Ljubljana and I had 2 heavy bags. And then I went to get a cart and all the carts you had to pay for. I had no coins. I mean, one of my bags weighed about 27 kgs, and the other one weighed about 19 kgs. I couldn't lift them. And at the same time, I didn't have no cart. So I thought, all right, I'll go over. I got some British pounds. I'll just see if I can change it into, some coins, the local, some euros. So the guy referred me to this window over there. He said, "You go over there, you get your coins." So I went over to the man. He said, "I don't have any coins. I can't give you any coins because I don't have any."
Oh dear.
Then I said, "Well, what am I going to do?" He said, "There's a trick." He said, "If you take your key and you stick it into the thing, you can get the key, you can get the card out for free."
Oh.
But then I showed him all the keys that I had, and he said, "None of those keys are going to work."
Oh.
So he said, "Anyway, I'll give you a free card." So he gave me a free card.
Oh, wow.
So, what can you do? All you do is pray to Krishna. Krishna, save me.
Guru Maharaj, you should bless us that we can have that much faith and devotion, seriously. As Sri Devi Mataji said to you, we do need that.
Well, one of the things is the more we depend on Krishna, the more we take our dependence on everything else. When we have so many things that we depend on, and then these things become our fallible soldiers.
But this material attachment is sometimes we don't even realize, and it is still there. It's just so we are so accustomed to it. It's just the natural. We just do the stuff. So difficult to find out as well that we are so attached. And then afterwards, we realize that, we are really attached. When we listen to the class or when we are talking to you, we do realize, but it's how do we change that attitude and how do we change that mindset, Guru Maharaj? So difficult.
When you look at the material world and you think there's nothing here for me.
that when we think that everything happens, but then after, like, as the day starts, everything is fine, but afternoon, evening, all goes.
Well, all right. So we have to learn to see everything in relationship to Krishna. Whatever Krishna has given me, it belongs to him. Therefore, if I can use it in his service, that becomes, and like I said, if we lose something, we're not lamenting. If we gain something, we're not feeling super jubilant. We just go on with our service and depend on the mercy of the Lord.
That is happening, Guru Maharaj. That is happening. One thing that, okay, something bad happens, accept it. Something good happens, we just offer it to Krishna. That's not a problem. It's just we still get entangled in these material activities. And then afterwards, I realize that, this is not right.
Well, balance your life out maybe a little bit more. Spend more time with devotees. Spend more time going to the temple, going to programs, going to kirtans. And then you'll start seeing your material tendencies to start losing their effect.
After, like, only at work this is happening, Guru Maharaj. At home it's fine. It's just when we are like, it's not even material activities basically, but still the mindset that, I'm doing this is coming in basically. No, not too much materialistic enjoyment or anything as such, but like me, I'm doing this. That attitude is still there in me.
Prakriti kriyamanani gunikarna sarvasya ahankara vimuda. Ahankara.
Yeah.
Ahankara vimuda. Kartaham iti manyate. Krishna says, material, you're not the doer. You desire, by your desire, you place the material energy in action according to the desire. And then Krishna facilitates the reaction of that according to your desire and your connection with a particular mode of material nature. But if you want to serve Krishna, then there's no problem. You can always serve Krishna. If you want to enjoy the material energy, it becomes so complicated.
Yeah.
And your enjoyment will always be mixed with some kind of difficulty, some kind of suffering. No one can enjoy the material energy except Krishna. It's his energy. We can use it. We take prasadam. That's his mercy. We have material things. We can live somewhat comfortable with these material things, so we can use that comfort to make our life easy so we can do service nicely.
But Guru Maharaj, do you think it's making our life easy? Is it right thing?
If you're attached to it, no. If you're not attached to it, it helps, yeah. But the thing is, we can't even see whether we're attached to it or not.
Exactly.
So subtle.
He is like a routine, just accepting it, like, when it is hot, just start the fan on, make ourselves cool.
That's fine.
So usual, it's like enjoying material energy, isn't it?
Don't become disturbed by the difficulties, and don't become overly confident and happy by the routine successes. All these are part of living in this material world. Devotees don't accept happiness and distress. They accept different results of activities as being what they deserve accordingly. That's all. If you commit sinful activity, you will suffer. If you commit pious activity, you will get some material benefit. If you commit devotional service, you'll be free from reactions, both pious and impious. You purify your heart and you'll move closer to Krishna.
Thank you, Guru.
We have to be careful. Mostly we have to be careful of our association. That's the most important thing.
We have to be conscious, isn't it? We all the time, which is sometimes missing.
We have to take sufficient time to associate with devotees. If we have too much association with the non-devotees, although it's for our daily maintenance, that will also cause the mind to become unhappy.
True. My obeisances to you, Guru Maharaj, on the day of Guru Purnima. Thank you for your.
Thank you for your nice letter. There is another occasion today that I forgot to mention.
Good.
Today is the appearance day of Sri Devi.
Oh, very well.
Today's her birthday. Happy birthday to Sri Devi.
Oh, Mataji, happy Krishna conscious birthday.
Yeah.
Guru Maharaj, my birthday has no significance whatsoever. I'm a rascal who has come as a nuisance to this world and only you have saved me. The only significance of my birthday is ISKCON was incorporated on the same day. That's the only thing.
I was just going to mention that. Prabhupada incorporated ISKCON on July 13th, 1966 in New York, just to honor Sri Devi.
Oh.
That's before she was born, of course.
It's such an auspicious day as well.
Anyway, yeah, so we all appreciate Sri Devi's enthusiasm for Krishna consciousness and her
of course.
Her preaching to the conditioned souls that helped many people come to Krishna consciousness.
Her encouragement to the conditioned soul as well, Guru Maharaj. I'm one of them.
Good. But your day's almost over, right? It's about
yes.
It's about 10
I've
o'clock.
Finished. I'm just waiting for the class. I've finished. My work is finished now.
No, I'm speaking to Sri Devi. Her day's almost over. Right.
Yeah, Guru Maharaj, it's almost 10 o'clock, but believe me, I can sit up all night listening to you. I'm just getting more enthused to listen to you because this is so deep and so relevant and so important. I just am so grateful that you're sharing in depth and guiding us in depth like this, especially when Sukhava was asking this question. I was really listening intently because I'm wondering whether Maya Devi, being very clever, can masquerade as a devotional service opportunity.
Oh, yeah, for sure. One of her programs is to look like Krishna. The only way you can overcome that is to take very strict association with advanced devotees. Then you will not be fooled so easily.
Right. Because such a tempting offer has come today, Guru Maharaj, in the form of a birthday gift. And you have warned me. You told me not to take money from my dad for an apartment. And he offered me a huge sum of money to buy an apartment. And I'm thinking, wow, now finally I can buy that big apartment. All my God family can come. My God brothers and God sisters. I'm starting to have all these dreams. And suddenly I remember you telling me, don't take money from your dad. And I'm thinking, whoa, I don't know. Maybe this was Maya testing me.
Why did I say that?
Because it comes with not just strings attached. You said it comes with ropes.
Well, you're the one that told me that. I'm just repeating what you told me.
because I will get manipulated, Guru Maharaj. I'm very innocent that way. I don't realize it. I think everyone is like very nice, very nice. And then before I know it, I'll be over my head. And who knows what will happen to poor little me.
No, if you think you should take it, go ahead and take it, but just be ready for the consequences. That's all.
I'm going to write to you, Guru Maharaj, how it all happened, because I really, this is why I asked this question, and I asked in all humility and humbleness, Guru Maharaj, that I really do want a home that can be a place where I can serve my God family, that can be like a base if they want to come over here, explore Mayapur. That's been my desire. But I don't know whether this is Maya's way of telling me, yeah, get a big home, enjoy the opulence, enjoy having a nice big house. I don't know whether it's masquerading as devotional service, my desire, and I'm fooling myself. And then my dad saying, this is a birthday gift. I want you to have that nice home. I don't know whether that's another attack of Maya. I'm all confused about this, actually, to be honest.
Speak to some of your friends in Mayapur and see what they say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So,
Maharaj, sorry,
yeah.
Maharaj. There is one question by Rishabha Prabhu. Can I read it?
Yeah.
So he's saying, Hare Krishna, dear Gurudev, can you tell us of some key activities of Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan, if possible?
Can you tell us of some activities of
Sanatana Goswami in Vrindavan, some key activities?
Sanatana Goswami wanted to see Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya was a distance away. And Sanatana Goswami wanted to go, but then he realized in order to go to Lord Chaitanya, I have to pass by the Jagannath temple. And if I pass by the Jagannath temple, then the pundits, they're coming in and out serving Lord Jagannath. And if they see me, then this will be inauspicious for them. So he was feeling very wretched. So he was thinking, I have to go see Lord Chaitanya, but I don't want to pass by the Jagannath temple. So he decided to go along the road to the beach, which means traveling on the beach. Now, this was in the month of July, around this time, which is the month of Jaist. And the sand on the beach is burning hot due to the heat of the sun. So he walked along that beach, and the sand was so hot, it was actually burning the bottom of his feet. And then he came to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, fell at his feet. The Lord was so happy to see the Sanatana, but then he noticed his feet were all burnt. He said, well, you have blisters all over your feet. How did you get here? He said, well, I took the road along the beach. He said, wow, why did you do that? The sand is so burning hot. And the Lord was feeling that unhappy because Sanatana's feet were burnt. But Sanatana, just said, well, I didn't want to pass by the Jagannath temple. The Parjaris who were doing their service to Lord Jagannath, they would see me. So this was his natural humility. And so, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Vrindavandas Thakur says, don't try to imitate this in the humility of Sanatana Goswami. So very humble. That's one such story.
Thank you,
There are
Maharaj.
many others.
Thank you, Maharaj, for sharing that story. Are there any more devotees who would like to ask any question or share any reflection? Okay. So, if there are no more questions or reflections, Maharaj, can I announce about tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, tomorrow we have class with Harrisburg devotees. The topic will be Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 2, verses 43 to 46. And the timing is different. Tomorrow's class would be at 8 a.m. EST, USA time, 6:30 p.m. India time, and 1 p.m. UK time. I would also like to announce that Maharaj,
Would you EST is what time?
EST 8 a.m. morning.
No, that's incorrect.
Oh, okay.
It's 7:20. 7:20 Eastern Standard Time, which is 6:20 Central Standard Time. Correct, Srimati?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. Sorry, I'm outside. Sorry for the background noise. Actually, tomorrow it's Harrisburg devotees, Guru Maharaj. It's not Bhakti Sangha, Charlotte devotees. If Charlotte devotees, that was actually the time you mentioned, that is for Charlotte devotees, not for Harrisburg. But Harrisburg is 8 a.m. Eastern only, Guru Maharaj.
Oh, it's Harrisburg tomorrow.
Harris.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Yeah.
Yeah, then it's 8 a.m. Eastern Standard, 7 Central Standard. And 1 o'clock UK time.
Yes, also, I would like to
And
announce
1 o'clock UK time and 5:30 Indian time.
6:30 p.m. Indian time. Oh,
5:30.
Mataji, sorry, it's 5:30. Yeah,
5:30.
5:30. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, 5.
Okay.
Maharaj, I will also quickly announce about your travel to Toronto. So, Maharaj will be in Toronto during this weekend from July 14 to 19 for the Toronto Rath Yatra. So, devotees, whoever is willing to take association of Maharaj can be in Toronto during that time. So, yes,
The following weekend, I'll be in Detroit on the Friday the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th of July. That's Detroit.
Okay, so those were the announcements. Maharaj, then with your permission, shall we end the call here? Thank you so much for your time and association and for today's class. Thank you so much, devotees, for joining. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Guru Purnima ki jai. Sanatana
Jai.
Swami Maharaj ki jai.
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 Vyasadeva ki
Jai. Happy Guru Purnima, Guru Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Happy Guru
Jai
Purnima.
Gurudev.
Happy Guru Purnima, Maharaj. Thank you very much. Happy Guru Purnima.
Happy Guru Purnima.
Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.